Long ago, before people had made machines and cities, the world was fresh, quiet, and peaceful. The mountains stood tall, the rivers flowed gently, and the sky stretched wide and endless. High above everything, in the wide blue sky, lived the wind and the sun. The wind was strong and proud. He rushed through forests, bent tall trees, and made the seas roar with his power. He loved to show his strength by howling loudly and pushing everything in his way. Sometimes he shook the houses, rattled the doors, and scattered dry leaves everywhere. He always thought that no one could ever be stronger than him. The sun, on the other hand, was calm and gentle. He shone quietly, spreading light and warmth. Every morning he rose slowly from the east, painting the sky in gold and orange. Flowers opened when they felt his touch, birds sang happily when he came, and farmers smiled because his rays gave life to their crops. Unlike the wind, the sun did not boast. He believed that gentleness and patience had more power than anger and force. But one day things changed. The argument begins. The wind came rushing across the sky, proud as always. He whistled loudly, making the trees bend and the clouds scatter. "Look at me," he shouted. "No one can stand against my power. I am the strongest of all. When I blow, forests bow, seas roar, and men hide in fear." The sun, shining softly nearby, listened with a quiet smile. "You are strong, dear wind," he said gently. "But strength is not always in shouting, pushing, and forcing. True strength lies in kindness and calmness." The wind laughed loudly. "Kindness? Calmness? Ha! Those are for the weak. Strength is about power, about force, about showing others they cannot resist you. You, sun, are gentle, but you are not strong." The sun replied calmly, "I do not agree. Gentleness is stronger than you think. Sometimes a soft smile can do what force never can." The wind grew annoyed. "You speak like a weak one. Let us not argue with words. Let us test our power and see who is truly stronger." The sun agreed, still smiling. "Very well, wind. Let us find a way to test our strength." The traveler appears. Just at that moment, both the wind and the sun noticed a man walking along a dusty road far below. The road stretched between two small villages. On one side were green fields of wheat, gently waving. On the other side were tall trees giving shade. The traveler looked tired. He carried a small bag and walked slowly, wiping sweat from his forehead. He wore a thick shawl wrapped around his shoulders, because though the day was bright, the air was still cool from the morning. The wind's eyes lit up. "Ah, I see a perfect test," he said. "Look at that man with his shawl. Whoever can force the man to remove his shawl shall be declared the stronger one." The sun nodded. "Yes, that is fair. Let us see whose power is greater." The wind, eager and proud, shouted, "I will go first." The wind's turn. The wind gathered all his strength. He took a deep breath and then, whoosh! He blew as hard as he could. The trees bent low, the dust rose high, and the traveler stumbled, nearly falling to the ground. His shawl flapped wildly in the storm of wind. The wind laughed proudly. "See? I will tear the shawl from him in no time." But the traveler quickly pulled the shawl tighter around him. "Oh, what terrible wind!" he cried. "I must hold my shawl or I will lose it." The wind grew angrier. He blew harder and harder. The leaves flew, branches broke, and the dust filled the traveler's eyes. The poor man struggled forward, holding his shawl with both hands. The wind shouted, "Give it up, traveler! You cannot fight me!" But the harder the wind blew, the tighter the man gripped his shawl. Minutes turned to hours. The wind roared across fields, over hills, and through valleys. But the shawl stayed firmly on the traveler's shoulders. At last, tired and breathless, the wind gave up. He huffed angrily. His pride hurt. "I have used all my strength." Yet the man did not let go. "Perhaps it is impossible." The sun's turn. Now it was the sun's turn. He smiled gently. "Watch closely, dear wind. I will show you another kind of strength." The sun spread his light softly across the sky. His golden rays touched the traveler's face. The man stopped, lifted his head and smiled. "Ah, how lovely and warm the sunshine is after that cold, cruel wind." The sun shone a little brighter. His warmth filled the air. The traveler felt comforted. He loosened the shawl around his shoulders. "It is not so cold anymore," he thought. The sun's smile grew warmer and warmer. Soon the traveler began to sweat. "It is getting hot," he said aloud. "I do not need this shawl anymore." At last he removed the shawl completely and dropped it onto the ground. He stretched his arms, enjoying the gentle warmth of the sun. The sun turned to the wind and said softly, "You see? Gentleness has done what your force could not." The lesson: The wind looked ashamed. I used all my power, but I failed. You used only warmth and patience, and you succeeded. I now understand. True strength is not in force but in kindness. The sun smiled. Yes, my friend, anger and violence may seem powerful, but they only cause resistance. Gentleness, warmth, and kindness open hearts and make people give freely. The traveler, who had heard nothing of their argument, continued walking happily, unaware that he had been part of a great lesson in the sky. Extra descriptions and reflections. As the traveler walked on, birds flew over his head, chirping in the sunshine. The river beside the road glittered like silver under the sun's rays. Children played in the village ahead, laughing as they ran. Farmers rested under trees, smiling at the bright day. The wind, though defeated, also felt a change inside. He realized that his strength could still be useful, but only if used wisely. Perhaps, he thought, I should not always roar and push. Sometimes I can be gentle too, like a cool breeze on a hot day. The sun encouraged him. Yes, dear wind. When you are gentle, people love you. They welcome your cool touch on hot summer days. You give comfort when they are tired. Your strength is a gift if used with care. From that day on, the wind and the sun became better friends. They no longer argued about who was stronger. Instead, they worked together to keep balance in the world. One bringing coolness, the other warmth. The moral. The story teaches us a simple truth. Kindness is stronger than force. When we try to control others with anger or pressure, they resist us. But when we are gentle, patient, and kind, they listen and open their hearts. Just as the sun won by warmth and not by force, we too can win people's trust, love, and respect through kindness rather than through anger.